Right. I mean, the one thing I could say about we said it last week, but I don't mind repeating it again, is the importance of BIBAK LA in the diaspora, and the fact that like BIBAK of Los Angeles was kind of like, I mean, they started here in the States in the 60s, and
Mhm.
there weren't I don't know, as far as I know historically, you guys were like the first large
I think
gathering of
so.
Igorots, and I remember in that first IIC, I forgot which researcher said it, but like the largest concentration at that time in 1995, IIC one, they said the largest concentration of Igorots outside of the Philippines was in Los Angeles.
Really?
And yeah, it was at the time. It's
Mhm.
different now because things have
Mhm.
changed so much. But at that time, that was a big deal. And I remember it was when first hearing that, and I was like, "Whoa, okay, that completely makes sense." And when we were younger, especially in the 80s and the 90s, uh, a lot of folks from LA would come up regularly,
Mhm.
and like
Oh,
our
yeah.
community would engage with the folks from LA and be like a big
Mhm.
party every now and then, and sometimes there would be some performances, or we would just play gangsta and stuff. And
Mhm.
even though I was younger and I didn't completely understand it, it was kind of like this. Your group was BBAK of LA was kind of like that influencer, that especially when you're young and you didn't really understand it, but then you see it because you see it as a youngster. It's just the exposure in itself that
Mhm.
that even though you may not completely understand it, but just the exposure
Yeah.
um, to it s- sets up a foundation for when you get older,
Exactly.
and that was huge for us in the Bay Area, because eventually, Donald Buangan, from the influences of BBAK LA, we created BBAK of Northern California. And it was because of Los
Mhm.
Angeles. And we were able to gather our folks. And every now and then, especially when you have the Kanya, which was,
Mhm.
okay, it's not the Kanya back in the Philippines, but it's the
It's
Kanya where
still
we would
yeah.
just have celebrate, and we'd celebrate the culture and then fundraise at the same time. So it'd be
Right.
like a nice dinner, but at the same time do performances and celebrate the culture, and in front of other folks who were interested. And so I remember a lot of uh, folks from BBAK LA would come over, especially the young guys. So the generation before you, the young folks before you, like Arnold's
Mhm.
group,
Mhm.
Arnold, Ed, Biak, all those
Yeah.
guys. They're like about my age, a little bit younger, but like oh yeah, Mike Wandug, and they all came up there. We would watch them. Like, you guys would always have a spotlight youth performance. I remember that.
Mhm.
We would dance just with everybody, but when we see you guys do it, there was a sense of pride that like, oh man, yeah, they can do it. We can do it. Let's get more of
Mhm.
the younger folks involved. And so we had our original youth group was called Bodong, after Bodong Peace Pact,
Mm.
and it was a really healthy group, and it exposed a lot of the younger folks who weren't really into it, just because
Right.
there was a group of us who would gather, and we would ride in, like, how in the old days we'd pack like 10 people in like one car. There'd be like
Yeah.
three cars like caravanning from place to place, and then like
Uh-huh.
we'd switch from house to house, San Francisco. Sometimes we'd go to East Bay, and sometimes we go South Bay, and then sometimes we go as far as Sacramento, and you'd have these gatherings, and uh, it was just a great influence. And I don't know if Bebop LA, the elders, maybe they do and they don't. They don't. Maybe they don't realize how much influence they had on a lot of
I was
folks
I was
around
gonna
the
say
diaspora.
that.
Huh?
I feel like a lot I was gonna say something like that a lot of the organizers, not just for like LA, but yeah, I feel like, they didn't like I feel like for us, we have to put a lot of effort into
Mm,
gathering. Like we really do. Like
yeah.
in addition to like the way that our works lifestyles are, Monday through Friday everyone is, and not everybody, like, I mean, most of everybody else is a nurse, but not me. But and so, but to physically actually socialize and gather is a lot harder than it was back then. So I feel like back then, I don't know if they knew like how much influence they were doing. Like I know that they did, like our elders, like our uncles and aunties, like actively were like, this is like teaching us, the right way and the wrong way to play the gongs and to dance, and right way, wrong way. But but I don't know if they realized how much, even without the internet, without anything, how much it was spreading. Like they probably didn't, they had no idea, and so oh, I think I'm going to be called soon to my
Oh,
mommy jobs. But what is it called? What is it called? So I think that it's something that like our elders, yeah, like they had, it was unintentional. It's maybe just a positive consequence of it all. Maybe like some of them just wanted to hang out, just kind of like back when kind of looking for the folklore and the naming of different dancing and dances and stuff, but it's really just as basic as it could be. It's just named because of what it looks like or sounds like. That's yeah, and so I feel like maybe some of the people who started bebop were just like, we're just here to help whoever's here, and
yeah.
then it kind of organically grew. But with, I think, assimilation and everything, with where we all have lived, and we all had to go to college, we all had to go, continue and find our lifestyles and
Yeah.
and our own lives. Luckily we all found, within our still our in our community, we are grounded. But there's a lot of other people that I remember from, that were older than me and younger than me, that don't hang out the way that we did as bebop kids, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
And I think,
And yeah.
when you add that and think about like, oh, there was a purpose for gathering. Yeah. I mean, that the idea of getting together to share our culture with someone was actually really big, because it gave us
Hmm.
purpose and intention, and it gave motivation for people to get together. And
Definitely.
I think maybe, having that kind of motivation to go and share, the culture again might be, like, really the way to get people together. Uh
Hmm.
and have that sense of, deep purpose. I
Hmm.
remember, when we were doing these things, we would end up in these uh, at universities, at
Right.
these Filipino
Festivals.
celebrations, festivals, a whole bunch of those. We would end up in places where so many people would say, "Wow, I didn't even know you guys existed." But it also,
Hmm.
that experience,
Exactly.
for our youngsters, it was quite valuable and important.